Why is it that the small guy is always being squeezed? Why is it that we're working 9 to 5 jobs just to, at the end, retire and have nothing? Why is it, guys, that many times we're struggling day in, day out, and still can't seem to get ahead? But the elites, the ruling class, they're always empowered. They're always in the have. They know what their why is. We're struggling, many of us. What do we do to change? Welcome to Dragonless Trading and very first Ask Me Anything session. I got my boy, one of our chief educators, Umar, on, and we're going to be just chopping it up, talking about pretty much investment, our recommendations, our speculation and what we do, how we are successful in trading, as well as pretty much just how we're maneuvering this matrix in which we're living. And as always, guys, everything that we're saying is from our own education, our own lifestyle, our speculation. It's by no means financial advice. We recommend that you do your own research, but we want to give you some jewels about on motivation on just how we're doing things to maneuver this world and it works for ourselves. One of the things that I like to say is we need to understand exactly what's going on. With my many years of experience working in global politics, working in the United States Congress, working with the United Nations, working on behalf of heads of state of sovereign wealth funds overseas, Mubadala Offset Corporation, and other countries, being involved in revolutions, working in Libya during their fight in the Arab Spring, in Syria, in Egypt, in Tunisia, in various African countries, Sierra Leone, other countries going through various wars, seeing it up close, and understanding how global politics works. When we're fighting, guys, when we're scrambling, when we're in war, who are the people that are making money? Who are the people who are suffering? Why is it that the small guy is always being squeezed? Why is it that we're working 9 to 5 jobs just to, at the end, retire and have nothing, depending upon a social system that's not going to be there for you? Why is it, guys, that many times we're struggling day in, day out, and still can't seem to get ahead? But the elites, the ruling class, they're always empowered. They're always in the have. They know what their why is. We're struggling, many of us. What do we do to change? Umar, you go through some of this stuff on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
I used to go through the same thing. But one of the things that set me apart, and I think from a very young age, is I knew that there was something else out there. I did not see myself as an employee mindset. I didn't see myself as in that sort of slave mindset, working on a plantation, working in tide on behalf of somebody else, going to battle on behalf of a fiefdom, just so they could get land when I didn't have anything. And so I always knew, I always had the mindset that whatever I wanted, I will have. And my company that I would start from many, many years ago was my country. And the people in my company were my own royal court that I had. And that we together were going to go ahead and pursue and do things. There was a time back, I think I mentioned that many revolutions and things that I was doing. I remember this one member of Congress that I was working for on Capitol Hill. as her legislative director and then her chief of staff. And I would work 20 hours, 22 hours a day. She would call me up 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I remember one time that she was coming back on Air Force One, and she could have gotten a ride with other members of Congress back on to her home. They were landing on they were on Air Force Two, and they were landing at Andrews Air Force Base. And she called me and she said, you know, I need you to pick me up at 3 in the morning, which meant that I needed to be there at 2 in the morning. Well, of course, the flight didn't land until 4 in the morning. And then when before she got there, about an hour before, half an hour before, 15 minutes, she's calling me and it's like, "Are you there, Mr. Kilman? Are you there?" And I said, "Yeah, Congresswoman, I'm here." And when she landed, I could see the airplane taxiing down the runway. Then she calls me and says, "Oh, I'll get a ride. You can go on home." And Secret Service is looking at me and they're just like, "He did it again, Oliver, huh?" At that time, at that point, at that minute, I said, enough is enough. I am not going to work for her anymore. In fact, I'm not going to work for anybody else in my life. I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to go ahead and create. I'm going to manifest what it is that I wanted. And so I went out and I started doing things on my own. It was tough. It was a struggle. Many times you have to go ahead and work 2, 3 times harder than the next guy. But you know something? It was mine. And so these are the things that I did. And I've had an interesting life working. You know, they say a cat has 9 lives, but we have more than 9 lives. You know, we don't have to be stuck in one position, one job. We don't have to be stuck in one reality and one lifetime. We don't have to buy in to that programming that they give you inside of this matrix. You're only supposed to do this. You will only be a mechanic. You will only be an educator. You will only be a bus driver. You will only be. We can be anything that we want to be. I was a congressional staffer working on Capitol Hill, a lawyer. I was a lobbyist representing heads of state, various people. I was a revolutionary supporting revolutions on the front line, risking my life. I was in the fashion industry, had a company we were helping co-produce Fashion Week. I did a number of different things. And now here I am trying to bring you some of the successes that I've had, trying to help you to understand that you do not have to be locked into the system, trying to let you know you too can have financial economic freedom, lifestyle freedom, and just the freedom of expression and the freedom to do and to be anything that you want to be. So Dragonless Trading, what we are in Dragonless Trading, what we do is we go ahead and we express everything that we have all been through, whether it's revolutions, whether it's being kidnapped and imprisoned in a Libyan prison, whether it's getting out there just pretty much and exercising your belief in your why. So in 2020, like I said, been through a lot of things. Revolutions in Afghanistan, revolutions in Syria, revolutions in Libya, fighting on the front lines, being kidnapped, and still understanding and knowing when I was kidnapped, my captors did not have any control of who I was. I was in control always. Even 2 years ago, I went into the hospital during COVID and they told me, Oliver, you're in kidney failure, stage 4. It was unbelievable. But you know something? I said, no, this is not the end. Then they came back a week later, still in the hospital. And the doctor says, it's a lot worse than that, Mr. Kelman. Not only are you in kidney failure, you're in heart failure, and you need a heart transplant. And if you don't get one, which you're not on the list, so the chances are very, very slim, you're going to die in 30 days. You're so far gone. I did not let that get to me. I did not accept that reality. I told her, no, I don't accept that. She couldn't believe it. She said, we think you need to talk to your family, have them prepared. You're not going to make it. You're not going to live. You're too far gone. I said, I do not accept that reality. I was transferred out of that hospital into the next hospital, and then the journey began. Remember, I was not even on a heart transplant list, was in the hospital, in one hospital for a month, moved to the next hospital. They put me in a induced coma for about three and a half weeks. They woke me up and they said, Mr. Kelman, it's a miracle. You have a heart transplant and a kidney transplant from 2 different people. Family of the deceased wanted me to specifically have that heart transplant. And the live donor, who I didn't even know, was going to give me his kidney. And you know something, you talk about the matrix, you start talking about the belief, the reality of what you can do, the psychological, combining the mind, combining the reality and the physical belief of who everything is. Understanding and tapping into that, your ancestral line. It's the same thing I did when I was kidnapped in Libya and held hostage by a dictator militia for 3 months. It's the same thing I had done all my life. It's the same thing I did when they told me I was going to die. And I did not accept that reality. I created my own reality. The mindset, the belief of mindset, the belief of spirit, and the belief of what can be. We can do anything that we want to do. We don't have to accept this matrix. We don't have to accept the reality that this matrix gives us. We create our own. And that's one of the things that I want to tell you guys, in being able to choose whatever you want to do, being able to know that you could have and you should have many different streams of income. It's not just one thing. You can have many lifetimes. The elite, the wealthy, they don't just have one stream of income. They don't just have one life. They have many. And this is what they feed upon. So why shouldn't you? I have many different lives. There are many different Olivers. I have many different incomes. I have many different companies. I am part of many different companies. So if one thing fails, if one thing stops, if one thing is delayed, then I have several other incomes. I have several other lives, several other means to feed on. And when you can understand that reality, when you understand that you're able to manifest and create these type of things, then you understand that you can think outside of time and space, and you can become anything out of this matrix or this world in which we live, and that we don't have to accept what's given to us. So many of you here are interested and want to understand this world of trading and investment that we're in at Dragonless Trading, how we're able to do the things that we're able to do. Well, one of the things I have to say is persistence. Anything that you want to do, you need to be committed and you need to be persistent with it. And it's not every time that we're going to succeed. In this world of trading that we're engaged in, every day that we open a trade, we're going into battle. Who are we battling with? We're battling with the market maker, that big money whale that's manipulating the markets. So some of the things that we had to learn and teach ourselves, it wasn't easy. When I first started trading, I think my biggest loss was about 100K, my first loss. I could have run away and say, this is not for me. But I said, I am not going to let them beat me. I'm going to commit myself to learning this. And so I stepped away for 6 months, not from trading, but from trading my money. And I committed myself to learning everything that I could. I soaked it up, my technical analysis, my fundamental analysis, reading the volume, reading and speculating what that market maker is going to do. And for me, what works for me is I'm a sniper. I get in there, I sit back, I watch the volume of the trade. I'm looking at different time frames. All of these things you're going to learn. And if you think when you see when I'm posting that it's not possible for you to learn, if I can do it, you can do it too. Okay? So being able to understand, being able to educate yourself, being able not to take no for an answer, being able not to accept failure. As I said to you, these are all the things that were part of my being from the time I was young, as I told you, from the time I was in different revolutions, from the time I was fighting on front lines, from the time I was kidnapped and held for 3 months, from the time I was fighting many times for my life in countries of Syria and the Arab Spring, from the time that I was told I was going to die when I was diagnosed with heart and kidney failure, to the time that every day that I go in and I fight and I battle this war of trading, and how I come out successful. And it's not every time you're going to be successful, guys. You're going to have your losses. You're going to have your failures. But it's being able not to have those failures to define you. It's being able to understand that when you have a failure, it's education. When you learn from it and you don't allow it to define you, then it's a really good educational tool. You're in class every single day, guys, and is able to understand. So one of the things that I want you guys to know is that recently in the past week, we've had bank failures, bank collapses. And in the past, we've had this, but we've had major exchanges that collapsed, FTX and Scandal. You have now three major banks that have failed. The latest one, Silicon Valley Bank. But it's not the end. And one of the things to understand when you see all of these things happening, who are the people that truly suffer? It's the people that keep their fiat currency, their dollar, in the bank accounts. It's the people that when these banks collapse and they're frozen, if there's no bailout, well, what happens? You lose your money. And you see it happening in many different countries where the banks can go in and freeze your account and you can't get a hold of it. We had a member of our group back in September that was sending out, well, upside of over 100K. And the bank said they don't know what's going on, whether it's fraud or not, and they froze the account. His own money was putting it into crypto. And we sent them information where the money was coming from, where it was going, and still their excuse was, we've got to wait on legal. Every single day for a month, they've got to wait on legal. To the fact that at the end of that month, we started putting some power upon it, getting some individuals involved, and then the bank said, well, we can close your account. Because what are they doing? They don't want to give you your money. They want to make sure that they hold on to your money, because what are they doing with it? They're trading with it. They're investing it. And when they're successful, they're making 600, 700, 800% on your money in a month. And they're giving you pennies on the dollar, a 0.2 or 0.3 interest rate. Is that fair? And when you want to go to the bank and take a loan from that bank, what do they say? You don't qualify. Or we'll give you a loan from your own money that they've already made 800% on. We'll give you a loan, but guess what? We're going to tax you even more interest on your own money. It's the biggest scam there is. What do I believe? We need to take out that middleman. We need to take out that end man. We need to control our own finances. We need to take that money out of fiat currency and put it somewhere safe and real where we can control. If you want to know what these things are, subscribe with us at Dragonless Trading. We're giving you free education, free information.